Hiya, anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Amy Worallo. I work for ICME and I'm the Training and Endpoint Assessment Manager for the Institute.
Yep.
So today I'm just going to talk about the benefits of training in the foundry industry. So I don't have a foundry background. My background is training, apprenticeships, FM, coming into the foundry industry. I've been with ICME for nearly 5 years now, 5 years this year. So I sometimes have a little bit of a different view in terms of training being from outside of the industry. That I think has been quite positive over the last 4 or 5 years with where we've built up. There are quite a few issues that the industry is currently facing. I'm not necessarily going to talk about some of the very specific ones, more from a training point of view. One of the biggest ones that we are having conversations about is skills shortages. There's an ageing demographic within the industry, and the skills shortages are now showing as being quite significant. Also, in line with that, succession planning has not always been successful. So now we are at a point where we are having a lot of conversations with businesses that have got problems because their staff are looking at retiring, they're panicking that the shortages are there and they don't know how to fill those gaps because they don't have any more talent coming in to replace those. So it is a real issue at the moment for the industry. Attracting new talent and recruitment is also a difficult issue for the foundry industry at the moment. I've had lots of conversations over the last probably 2 or 3 years where people are struggling to get young people in, not just getting them in but retaining people in the jobs. Some areas are more effective than others, generally across the country. Everybody is talking about that they're having issues with recruiting and attracting new talent. So that is, again, in hand with the skills shortages, that's only making things much more difficult. Significant cost rises, energy, wages, there are a lot of significant factors that are affecting the foundry industry, which sometimes means that training gets put on the back foot, and that is not necessarily a good thing to do. Although we may not feel that training is, a priority and we push it to the back of our minds, training is actually one of the most significant things you can do in order to help with your retention and the skills shortages. But that is not always a priority for foundries when it comes down to you've got high wages and all of the stuff that you've currently got versus upskilling people. So priorities do take place. And again, staff retention. So people are sometimes quite precious in terms of losing their staff to other foundries. Whilst that is a very valid point, it's also not always the best way to think about it. If you take the time to invest in your staff, you make them feel valued, you don't necessarily then have to worry about them going to another foundry or being poached by another foundry because of the value that you're giving the individual. So breaking down some of those walls are what some of the foundries that I've been working with over the last 6 to 12 months, the foundries are actually starting to work together to collaborate on training, and that's actually making it a little bit stronger for them in certain areas. So why should training be a priority? Investment in employees equals greater opportunities for your employees. So you're already starting to get your succession planning. You're identifying your future stars, you're nurturing them, you're growing them, you're therefore solving that. There's an increase in staff morale. If you're investing in them, they feel better at their job. Performance management becomes less of a priority, and a coaching environment becomes more of a culture. A coaching culture is much better for staff morale than a performance management one. So it will increase staff morale quite significantly. It enhances knowledge and skills base across the company. So a lot of the conversations that we have been having lately are around people being in specific jobs and only having the skills for that specific role. And therefore, when it comes to filling those gaps of people moving on, it makes it very difficult because there's not really the all-round qualification anymore that there probably was 10 years ago. It's more difficult to get those all-rounded staff. Maximise productivity and performance, I think that kind of speaks for itself. It creates a strong succession plan for the company and nurtures your future talent. So you identify those little sparks within the business and you really nurture and invest in those people to become the next generation of your foundry and to take on that knowledge from those people who are looking at retiring or who are going down to part-time retirement. So by succession planning, it alleviates the pressure with an ageing workforce to pass on the knowledge and skills. The amount of conversations I've had in the last 6 months around we've got somebody who's retiring and the panic is literally setting and they've got nobody to take on those skills and they really need that training doing right there and then because they've left it so long that they are in such a difficult position. You can't pass that knowledge from the ageing workforce on in such a short period of time. So the quicker that succession planning is put in place for the longer term, the more benefit that people will have in the foundry industry. A lot of the conversations I've had with the tutors, there's not many metallurgists. There's barely any metallurgy courses within the UK, which therefore then creates an additional issue. So these type of issues, rather than leaving it until you're faced with the issue head on, being proactive about it in succession planning is actually a really key factor not all businesses are doing at the moment. Development plans are critical to succession planning. You identify your future leaders, you develop and nurture them, you support their career development. Again, it's not always a priority to sit down and do an appraisal and do a succession plan and put a development plan in place for individuals. If you're not taking the time to do that with your next generation of young people, they aren't necessarily going to stay. And they're going to go somewhere else where they feel valued and they're going to get what they want for their career. I have a lot of conversations internally where people say, years ago it wasn't like this, people wanted, there was loyalty. Unfortunately, the generation that we're in now, loyalty isn't the only thing that's going to keep them to stay. They will quite often look at, well, what am I going to get out of this? And that is a positive thing to do to get young people to take ownership of their career path. Myself and the tutors, we've had a lot of conversations with a lot of the young people and we talk to them about where they can go in their career. And I would say 9 times out of 10 they have absolutely no idea where they can go. They might be a moulder at the moment, they have no idea where their career will take them. And a few of them, it's actually led to them withdrawing from apprenticeship programmes because they don't see a career in the castings industry, which actually is really sad because the opportunities are vast, regardless of what skills they've got. There's a mass amount of roles that they could actually do. Developing staff will not mean that they leave the business, they become a stronger asset. You've always got a chance that they're going to leave. That's just the nature of the business, regardless of the industry. You can invest an awful lot of time and money and they will still leave. But the time that they are there, they will actually become a stronger asset to your business and they will make a much more positive impact, which again is sometimes really overlooked. I've heard conversations where, they might leave and they might go to such and such foundry, but they might not, they might stay and they might make significant impacts on your foundry, they might save you money, they might, identify a new process, they might get you a new business. So sometimes I think we can look at it with a little bit of a glass half empty, rather than trying to be positive and proactive. It gives staff a sense of purpose, which again will give you the greater return on your team. The morale, the productivity, all of that will come hand in hand with giving them a sense of purpose and feeling like they're valued. Developing staff to be able to confidently deal with changing and predictable markets. It's very clear that at the moment the foundry industry, the castings industry is a very unpredictable market. There's lots of difficulties, there's lots of change coming, and if your staff are confident enough to be able to deal with change, then that is going to have a massive knock-on effect on businesses and their productivity. So developing them will make them confident, it will make them independent, which again, all of the above will lead to being a better asset to your business. Showing you value your staff by developing them will only increase your recruitment and retention. So if people in your business are talking to other people outside of your business about what you do for them, how you develop them, you listen to them, and you invest in them, that word will only spread. And therefore that will also increase your recruitment and retention. So you often hear, people will say big names within the industry. Let's just say JLR, for example. Young people, as soon as they hear the name of JLR or a big brand, if it was a supercar, that will automatically make their ears prick up. You need to kind of create that buzz around your company where the people that work for you are excited and invested in talking about what you do for them. That will therefore increase and help with recruitment and your retention of staff. So, what has ICME done to support the industry? So, we've been working on training for the last 3 to 5 years inherently. We have made quite a lot of changes over the last 3 to 5 years with a base of tutors that we've been working with, and we've done quite a lot of short courses, we've done some accredited EAL diploma delivery, we've done a lot of bespoke training, and we thought it would be really good today to talk about what we have actually been doing behind the scenes that some people may not be aware of. So our training journey, we've popped it down into figures. So you can see from 2022 to 2024, the number of attendees on ICME courses for the industry has significantly increased. And our course delivery days have also significantly increased over that time period. We've started off quite well with 2025 with what we've got booked in, and in March we're not doing too bad with 68 people attending the courses and 102 delivery days. Some of those are planned within the future, but this is also showing clearly for training and the fact that it's actually amplified year on year with the training needs that are there. These are just some feedback snippets that we've had from courses. We have fantastic feedback from attendees, excellent knowledge from the trainer, the best course they've been on, gaining confidence in people management and actually being able to put it into action. So our training courses, we actually pride ourselves on not only teaching the theory, but allowing that theory to then be put into practice. And that's a lot of people find that very, very difficult, where they can learn theory in a classroom, but when it comes to actually applying it, that becomes a very different story. And I think our ethos has kind of hit the nail on the head with some of the success stories that we will talk through in a little minute. So, just some of our big successes over the last couple of years. So, we did some specialist training, which was a certificate in cast iron production, metallurgy and quality control course. So, this came about because we were contacted by a variety of employers saying that there was no metallurgy training in the UK that was suitable for them. And we created a course from scratch with these employers, with a select group of tutors, Mr. Abbott, thank you, and Eddie predominantly. And we put two cohorts through on this programme over 18 months. It was a mix of theoretical and practical sessions that was then combined with projects. So instead of it just being theory and practical, that's it, walk away, these individuals had to go and put what they learned into practice within their foundry, and they created a project with their foundry where they were going to make significant impacts over that 18-month period, therefore giving the business value as well as the individual. So just some of the projects that were done. One of the foundries made substantial financial savings following an investigation into identify issues causing substandard ductile iron conversion treatments. And that foundry then, from the financial savings that they've made, was able to purchase additional equipment and put new processes in throughout the whole plant. And that was a fantastic project. And from then, there's only been more benefits from what they've learned on the 18-month programme. There was another project where there was the identifying a suitable placement for wire inoculation. It resulted in the individuals finding an alternative material that was cheaper and actually ended up reducing defects for the company, and again that was starting to be rolled out across the company into some of their more complex products that they created. And the third one, an investigation into the reasons for high levels of scrap due to the strap breaking when being tested, resulting in a new process being implemented for material supply. KPIs were then implemented, and it's had a really positive impact on the foundry across the board. So they're just, a couple of the projects that were done through that programme that have such a significant impact on the foundries themselves, as well as the knowledge that the individuals took away. And I think it's safe to say those individuals over the 18 months became significantly confident within their metallurgy skills, over and above what they role actually needed, but it made them far better at their job role. Another bespoke training that we did, this was September last year. We were contacted by a foundry in Iceland, and they're the only cast iron foundry, am I correct, please?
Cast iron and ductile. Yeah.
Cast iron and ductile iron foundry in Iceland, so they're the only foundry in Iceland. The training took place over 4 days, and there was a mix of theory and practical sessions. Some of the practical sessions actually were the tutors going and observing the foundry and identifying their practices to be able to put a plan of bespoke training in place. A few of the topics are listed on there: defects, chemically bonded sand systems, best practice foundry practices and work methods and sand recycling. So there's quite a lot covered within those 4 days, and it was created all around what the foundry wanted and needed on a bespoke basis. So the training was then given to the company to support their future development, and it was followed up with an action plan to allow the foundry to move forward and build a more sustainable future business. It was, the contact came through Amiga. So Amiga were out there with the equipment, setting up some of their equipment, and the training has, again, it was very, very positive. They found it very, very beneficial to their business. Just having the knowledge from the 2 guys that went over and being able to advise them on defects and how they could do things better and increase their production and quality. Couple more bespoke ones. Design for casting and introduction to foundry methods engineering. We delivered those courses in Scotland. So there was a meet in Scotland. We went to Scotland and did it. Sometimes people will say, we didn't know that you just went around the country. We can deliver the training wherever it's needed. But we will, if it's travelling, we will always try and have a bespoke element to make sure that it's beneficial for the foundry as well. Another one, we did a bespoke die casting on site with an employer to explore treatments, cleaning and preparing dies for casting, cold shrinkage, hotspots, problem solving through a mix of theory and practical sessions using the employer's own equipment. So with our bespoke courses, if it's delivered on site, one of the main benefits that employers find is that the training takes place on their equipment. So it's the products that they produce day in, day out, it's the materials they use, and it's the equipment that they purchase, which makes it all the more beneficial to the employer. And we, at the back end of last year, did a bespoke fritting and relining in the furnished training, which again was completed on site. Another area we have been working on, I would probably say over the last 12 to 18 months, is from the feedback of the issue, young people don't know anything about the castings industry. We are quite often within the education system put under the bracket of engineering, which, yes, we are engineering and manufacturing, but there's a vast difference between engineering and castings, which often means that we're kind of pushed to the side with nobody really understanding what we do. So as ICME, we saw that there was a clear need that we needed to start doing something. This wasn't going to be something that was going to change overnight, and it's not something that you will necessarily see the results of right now, but it's more about looking at the future pipeline and how we can get young people being aware of the castings industry and what the castings careers and industry can bring. So we deliver a programme called Casting My Future in conjunction with CMF and Next Gen Makers, which some of you may be aware of, adding to from Next Gen Makers. And we engage with school children. So we have created a VR experience that Adam and his team go and deliver in the schools, or via remote, if that can't go in. So there's a VR experience where we used to get them to use their phones, but obviously they're not their phones in schools now. So they sometimes will put it up on the screen to show them some of the foundries. And I believe there may be a couple of the foundries that are in the videos here today. Following on from that, there's then foundry visits or factory visits, as Next Gen call them, where the students then go and have a tour of the foundry. We've got a number of foundries in the West Midlands hosting these visits, and the feedback has been extremely positive. The young people that have been there are absolutely raving about the castings industry. They knew nothing about it. So this has actually piqued the interest of some of these people. And they're actually as young as sort of year 7 and year 8. So it's actually giving them some interest in the industry from a very young age before they're making options choices. Again, the feedback has been fantastic from the schools and the foundries. The foundries have had really positive engagement from the young people during the visits around there. We are actually looking to develop this programme further by extending the pilot programme into the East of England. So we've done a pilot in the West Midlands. We're now looking at transferring that to the East of England. And we've got around 6 foundries that are happy to support the foundry visits. So we are going to be sort of within the next 6 months moving that over to East England. And we are going to be doing further work on this around casting career pathways over the next 12 months. So this is kind of just a little bit of a start, really. And actually what we need to do is start showcasing that there are other career options, and there are pathways, and there are a variety of qualifications that young people can get. Not just technically, but also not technically as well. You know, there's a lot of people that will be doing business admin, sales. They can get those roles within a foundry as well, which they don't always see. So we are looking through the Education and Training Committee at doing a significant amount of work on that over the next 12 months. That will hopefully allow young people to have the foundry tours, do the VR experience, and then start to see more about the careers and where they can go. We are still looking for support from foundries within the West Midlands. So sometimes it tends to be that the same foundries will do the factory visits and the foundry tours, but we would still like to enhance that and get a few more foundries within the West Midlands involved. I think there's a core of around 4 or 5 at the moment that actively do it, but the more that we can get involved in the West Midlands means the more schools we can reach, which means the more young people we can reach. And actually, if you look at geographically, the West Midlands is probably the best place to do it with the number of foundries and schools in such close proximity. So we are still going to look at continuing to push it within the West Midlands and grow it out to the East of England as our next steps. And a very new programme that we've put into place in 2024 is a programme called Past Integration. And that has come about from a large amount of support from Foundry Training Trust, supporting young people to be able to attend and go on these. It's all about encouraging young career professionals to network together, so they get to actually spend time. A lot of feedback that we get is often these young people are in their foundries, they've got their issues, they've got their problems, and they're not able to talk and network like people used to 10, 15 years ago, where they all used to go to these events. It facilitates foundry tours as well, so we know that it's very, very difficult for these young people to be able to get out of the business and go and see how the businesses work and identify their best practices to share and bring back. So in October 2024, we hosted visits with Sangaban and Cosmic Castings, and we had 23 young people attend that last October. And it's all about supporting the next generation of foundry technicians and engineers. And we also provide some career advice and guidance on those sessions as well. So we get some guest speakers in who talk about their career, how they've got to their career. And we also have some of the tutors or other industry experts on hand to advise these young people where they can go next in their career. Again, they don't always get that, and a lot of the feedback that we had in October was that was really, really beneficial for them to sit down with someone and find out where they can go next. We do have our next event, which is on the 26th and 27th of March. I'd say it's 3/4 fully booked, and we are doing visits to William Lee and Ripple. These events are, like I say, it's fully funded by Foundry Training Trust, so it's free for ICME members to attend. So it's a massive perk for young people to be able to go out on these visits. This time they are having a nice meal at Marco Pierrot's restaurant in the hotel, and we've got Chris is attending to give them some advice and guidance on career progression, and we've got Simon Alexander and Mark Fenier's coming along to talk to young people about their careers and where they are in the industry and how they got there. So moving forward, what we're doing, we hope that that's provided a little bit more of an insight into what we have been doing over the last couple of years, but there's still a lot of work left to do. We've only really scratched the surface on what we need to do for the industry. So we've now got an annual short course training programme that goes out. That gives the dates that we've got short courses booked in for the whole of the year. We've launched an essentials management programme, and we've launched that for multiple companies to go to in a central location. And we've also had 2 companies with 3 cohorts who wanted delivery on site specifically for their employees. So a lot of companies are now realising that actually when you identify your technical people that are great at their job, we've got into a bit of a habit as an industry of promoting them because they're great at what they do, and then we don't train them on how to manage people. And there that then becomes a little bit of a vicious cycle because your productivity is going to be affected, your morale is going to be affected, and that person is really not going to feel valued. They're actually going to feel really out of their depth because working with people as a friend and stepping up and managing them are 2 very, very different things. And along with that, Andy's going to be talking in a little while who delivers that programme. They cover a vast amount of topics across the 6 months, and they also have some one-to-one coaching sessions with Andy about how they can implement their skills within their business and how they can develop themselves as well. So that's been very, very popular, and I think that will continue to be a priority for the industry moving forward with the whole, we're identifying these people right technically, we're just promoting them and then they are failing in some instances. The cast iron metallurgy programme that I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are actually working on developing an aluminium and a copper version of that programme. So we will be contacting some employers to have some input on that to make sure that it's relevant to the industry, and we will hopefully be launching that later on in the year. The aluminium will probably be this year, the copper one may be early next year. We want to make sure that we've got the model and the materials correct for what the industry needs. So that's another new programme that we are going to be launching. Very, very new, following a few conversations over the last few months. So I am going to be developing with the tutors a 6 to 8 week technical programme to be delivered across a group of foundries in the east of England to support their apprentices and new employees. So they have a training need down there where they can't get access to a foundry-specific apprenticeship. They can't wait any longer for that to be solved, so we are now going to be creating a 6 to 8 week sort of certificate programme to cover what they need for it to be covered in a bespoke programme for 6 foundries down there. And that's going to be delivered over the summertime when these young people have a break from their college programme, because they do day release. That's going to be delivered in that break time. Continuing the development of the Casting My Future programme to continue to raise the awareness for castings in young people. That's going to be an ongoing programme for the foreseeable. We're always looking for help and support on that, so if there is anybody that could or knows of somebody who can support that, we're always looking to develop that. And to continue to deliver bespoke training to businesses to address and support their employees. We've done, some of the ones that I've spoken about are only a handful. We have delivered quite a lot of bespoke training over the last 2 years, where it's had a significant impact, and some employers are finding that that's more beneficial than just the short courses, because we actually target what their business needs and wants are. Sometimes it might be something foundry specific, but then we're throwing in problem solving skills, or we're throwing in some management skills, or we're throwing in some lean skills. So all of these will continue to be on our agenda for moving forward, which is quite a lot, but that's just a bit of a summary really of what we're looking to do moving forward. And now I'm going to pass you over to Andy Worallo. So Andy has got a wealth of experience in senior management. and he uses that to facilitate excellent training in delivery around leadership and management, coaching, you name it. Andy is the guy for leadership and management, and he is the guy who delivers all of our short courses in the Essentials Management Programme. So we asked Andy if he would just come up and do a little bit of a talk for us on that about training and investing.
I might not need that. I might not.
You probably won't.
No, you Can you hear me at the back?
You will need it.
You will need it.
The people at home. People at home.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. The one voice. People don't like training. People don't want going to training. I think the trainers in the room, I'm sure you're wonderful people, but people don't want going to training. I don't want going to training. It's because of trainers, and they make you do horrible things. They make you do role play. I don't know what you get up to, but I'd rather not find out. You know, you keep your role play to yourself. They make you build towers and marshmallows to get it. I've been training people for 30 years. I've never known the need to build a tower with marshmallows and spaghetti. It's not something we're going to do with our Michael. And you know what? Trainers want you to share stuff. You know, they do these sort of icebreakers where you have to share stuff. Somebody once shared with me that they got veg fruit. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. Someone shared that they had their rib cage stapled to their lung. I'm not sure if it was for an aesthetic or a sort of a fashion statement or a health statement, but why share that? Right? So I don't want being a delegate. Put me up here, I'm instant expert. I love being up here, that's no problem at all, if I can remember what I'm going to say. But beyond that, it's all right being up here, but there, not so good, not so good. And I think as trainers, we've got to be better. We've got to be better. And I think what has to happen is you have to be demanding customers. You have to be demanding customers. You can't allow trainers to communicate towers and marshmallows to get it. You should be asking them, what's the point in that then? And also, we shouldn't just be doing theory for theory's sake. You should be asking, so what? So if I teach a change management theory, any buffoon can read a book and put a slideshow together. Anyone can do that. You should be asking, so what? Well, what we're going to do now? Now we understand cubular axle, bridges, or any of those other change models. What we're going to do with it? That's what we should be asking as customers. We should be able to do something with that information. So we have to take the theory out and put it from the classroom into the workplace. So you better come out knowing more than when you went in. Because I tell you what, I'm expensive. Relatively, I'm expensive. But I am as expensive as taking someone from the workplace and then not coming out with more skills and knowledge than when they went in. You should mind that. I'm relatively expensive, but I'm not as expensive as you. So, what's in our course? What's in this essential management course? You shouldn't, I shouldn't be I'm sort of blocking the view of you.
It's fine, don't worry.
So the course is split into 6, the essential management program. So the first session is sort of set up people in. We talk about creating the environment and sending the message. And we talk about what a business, a good business looks like. So we talk about something called strategic alignment. So that's about making sure that what you do at task has an impact at business level, at strategic level, and at a management level. You're doing something with that. You're getting people to do the right things at the right time. You're cutting down waste. You've got good resources. You're profitable. We talk about that in session 1. Session 2, we look at change and emotional intelligence. So, I believe emotional intelligence because the Daily Mail keep telling people that we're spending too much money on nonsense web training, and I think it's to keep people stupid. I think it's really wrong. I think we need to understand how people think. I think we need to understand emotional intelligence. If we can understand our own thinking and the thinking of the people in front of us, we might just be able to communicate better. And as I say, we look at change and give people a model to communicate change effectively, because change is frightening. People hear the word change and they go consultancy, and then they jump to redundancy, and then they lost their lives. It's catastrophizing. So how do we manage people through those scary times? Sessions 3 and 4 are all about communication, coaching and effective communication, performance management, and building high-performance teams. So I bring in a coach who used to work at Birmingham City. You shouldn't hold that against him. Right? He looks a bit like Blakey from On the Buses, and he does that with his neck, and when he does that, I love that. So don't tell him that makes me laugh, but he does that. But he comes in and he will work with people to create a high-performing team. How it will be done in a sports environment. Then sessions 5 and 6, we've got a real sort of trick because a friend of mine who's just retired, he's a testing engineer at Bombardier and Alstom. He worked at what's the way they measure places in Smedic? Avery's and Salters. So he's got this long history of working in our industries. And he comes down, and what we want to do, because I've seen loads of lean management, continuous improvement, corrective action courses, and again, so what? Really nice. It's all very clever. But what you can do back in the workplace, I really did a session in revision mode, because I'm clearly the best person for that job. And I went down, and one of the ladies there put lean management back in the classroom, and she improved performance tenfold. So we tell some real stories, and we've got my friend Ken, who's going to come and say, this is how you can do it, this is about how you reduce waste and increase performance and productivity. So it's a real line-wide course, really. It's a really good course. Thank you for checking out. I haven't missed anything, because I made the, the other thing is the 8 soft skills. It really annoys me when people call me a soft skill trainer. Do I look fast? No, I do not. It's developmental, it's essential management skills. We've got to get people out of this idea that it's soft skills. What a ridiculous thing to call it. Right? We've got to learn how to talk to people and get the best from people. And that's what soft is. I just wanted to say that, and it's really important. And the other thing, really, is that people become managers by accident a lot of the time. It's called the Peter Principle. You might ask why is it called the Peter Principle? Because of what Peter came up with it. So, in terms of that, people become managers because all their friends say to them, you should be a manager. You'd be better than the Charlies above, you'd be a great manager. And your manager comes down and quotes you and says, have you thought about becoming a manager? And then you become a manager, and all your friends ain't your friends no more. Can I have a pay rise? Can I have a pay off? Can we do this different? What about this? Why isn't this working? And that's on day one. And your boss comes down and says, how about in there? I don't think he's working correctly. Get into it. I'm just talking randomly, not just I'll choose you because you've got excellent beard. I'm not. But I'll point you, get him sorted. And if you haven't got him sorted in 3 weeks, the boss ain't pointing at you, no one's pointing at you. Why ain't you sorted? I don't know what to do. And like, you think that probably the ASL from Harry Potter's going to come and tell you how to be a manager, and that model ASL don't exist. You've got to help people become better managers. Managers ain't hard because nobody had the ambition to be a bad manager. Everybody wants to be a good manager, but you've got to have them. It's an organisational efficiency. And we think that people just become good managers because they're good pastors. Don't work like that. Got to give them a bit of support. And the very last thing from me, Iceland and Marco Pierre White, and I'm going to Gravesend tomorrow. So things ain't working out for all of us, are they? But I hope you had a wonderful time and the Northern Lights were through.
I'm in touch with any Northern Lights.
We need a conversation about the future in India.
Listen, it didn't work. We never saw no.
You didn't?
Nobody did. We were too busy just going to and from the foundry.
You don't have to convince me. She's already paid. So, look, thank you very much for listening to me, and thank you very much for Amy. Is there any questions at all about the course or what we do on the short courses? Wait for 5 seconds, no, that's just move on. No, is there any questions at all? Brilliant.
I've got one.
Yes. Is it about toes and marshmallows?
No, it's
Thank goodness.
It's about secret coaching.
Yes.
You ever, with your course, teach people how to, it's not an easy thing, but to do secret coaching so that people, you're working alongside something, you're improving and they don't realise it's happening.
that's a brilliant point, because again, when you have these sort of terms like emotional intelligence and like you spent £1 million on well trained, it's not that at all. And people have got the wrong idea about coaching, mainly because of coaches. You know, if you've got a coaching forum on LinkedIn, and I saw this, some people, how do I train this question? And every single response was from a coach trying to, not gender, but everyone was one upmanship on how clever you was to frame the question. And that's sickening. I'm a qualified coach, and I think coaches have been getting away with it for a long time. They teach growth. Now, I'm a qualified coach, right? I can't remember what the W stands for. I go, goal, reality, opportunity, threat, because I've got growth and swap mixed and I've turned into growth. That's rubbish. So what we want to be doing is having great conversations. So then coaches have made this idea that coaching without, I'll just speak with there again, Gandalf in it, where they hold the secrets of the universe within their coaching, in the coaching sort of fashion. That's rubbish. We can be having great coaching conversations on the move. So there's a little model called IRA. So it's called Ideal, Locate, Explore, and Do. Well, if you don't like that, we can go through required, current, solutions, getting right, so you can move it. Where are we this week? Oh, we've got the 20. Well, where are we? We're at 10. Now you can choose your solution there. So if this guy, you look at very experienced and world-wise fellow, so I'm going to be thinking this fellow's at check and delegate, I can go, what are the solutions? What have you come up with? How did we do it before? What else could we do? But if this fellow's new, I can't simply treat me like an expert. I've got to change my position on the coaching line. I've got to go, well, what else could you do? And when you're coaching, this idea that everybody's just asking great questions, someone's going to call the answer, is ridiculous because you don't know what you don't know. So as a coach, I would go, so what else have you tried? And I'm going to pick it up within seconds that we're out of options. So I'm going to go, let me give you a quick idea. And then I'm back into coaching again. How would you use that? How would you change the language to suit the people in front of you? So I think it's a wonderful question about just having great conversations on the move. Let's do our talking while we're walking, because you ain't got time to see things preaching. That isn't what it's all about. We've got to be more relevant in the real world. So what? That's so what? And it's got to make a difference. Brilliant question. Thank you very much. Yes.
I've got a. Sorry, the mic.
Would you like
Just for the people at home. It's very easy. Amy, I know it's a constant problem. We've got some trainers in the room today, but I presume we still need more people to step forward and volunteer as trainers. I just wondered if you wanted to say a few comments about that.
Yeah, so we have been working particularly over the last 12 months, to identify skills gaps and fill some of those gaps in knowledge. We have got a few new trainers on board. We have a trainer who is going to be looking at doing some investment casting training later on in the year. Nick, I hope you don't mind me saying, Nick has come on board with us as well. And we've got a couple of the people that we've been having conversations with who have come forward and are in sort of the early stages of conversations. Tony from TC Tech, I'm sure, as well. So we've still got gaps. Obviously, as the training grows, the need for the tutors will also grow alongside with that. One of the areas that we've looked at is job casting. We know that that's obviously quite a priority within the industry at the moment. So we would like to expand a little bit more in job casting. We know that there's training with CMF and the Australian Society to do the online stuff. We have done some job casting training, but we would like to be able to offer a little bit more of that. So job casting, particularly high pressure, I would say. And yeah, any tutors really, anybody that's interested in giving back. It's not like being a teacher standing in the classroom and being really old school and telling them off and saying homework. It's not like that. It's more of a relaxed professional environment. And the tutors that I've currently got on board are really supportive of new staff. So anybody who's even remotely interested, they can go out and observe the tutors that are already delivering to go and see what it's like, have a look at some of the content material. We would always like to add and grow to the team. And we will continue to do that, especially as the training grows. There will come a point where Chris might tell me, absolutely not, I am doing no more. But that is something that we are going to continually look at doing, growing the team. So if there is anybody who is interested, we do pay. I know there has been a misconception that we expect people to do it for free. We do not. The tutors get paid for creating the content, they get paid for delivering the content. We put them up in hotels, we pay for mileage. Mr. Allett is probably the one to speak to about that because he's been working with me over the last 4 or 5 years, so he can tell me how we work. But yes, we will always continue to look for more tutors and more to join the team. And yeah, just really the investment in training and the training and mentoring starts from the top. So senior management was so imperative in making that change. And that is it from me. I think I'm on one slide that's just got a thank you, any questions, and the contact email address of training at ICME if anyone has got any questions. Or has anybody got any questions for me?
Nope.
No? Oh, Anthony. Do you want the microphone?
Yeah, you need the.
Hi, Amy, thank you very much for giving us the evening this evening. If I could just bring it back to the apprentices.
You can.
We know it's the pain of your life, and
Yes.
in terms of not the work that you do, but getting the buy-in of the education establishments to enable the accreditations. If we look at a blue sky type of concept, is there anything different that the industry could deliver to enable us to be able to overcome those challenges in this area?
Apprenticeship specific one. So I was hoping to avoid this topic today. We know there's been lots of conversations about apprenticeship. So there is a casting specific apprenticeship, a level 3, that is currently being delivered by one provider in Sheffield. They don't have the capacity to deliver it nationally, so we have started looking at what else can be done because there is a need for this standard. There have been conversations with a local West Midlands education provider. There's not really been any movement on that, so we're not 100% sure where that is actually going at this moment in time. So with my sort of background, we've kind of been saying, well, if we don't have this apprenticeship standard, what do we do then? Where do we go? So when I mentioned the East Anglia group earlier, the reason that they've come to us for the technical programme over a 46-week programme is they are actually looking at putting their guys on a generic engineering apprenticeship, where they'll get the generic skills and topping it up with foundry-specific training. The standard is still live, so the level 3 foundry standard is still live. It's currently being reviewed. I'm working with the Institute for Apprenticeships at reviewing that standard, and it's going to be an even better standard than it is currently. But the barrier that we face for that standard is the providers to deliver it. So the colleges, training providers, they all need to be approved to deliver it and actually deliver it. Historically, there's always been a model, and there's a little bit of a stigma, I think, around the apprenticeship programme that everyone thinks it's got to be delivered in a certain model of delivery, and that's the only way it can be done. But actually, apprenticeships can be delivered however you want them to be delivered. So historically, it was done in block release. It was a week, a month for the duration of the apprenticeship. Apprenticeships don't have to be delivered like that. Employers can do far more training and get more off the job hours in-house. It doesn't have to be that you send them off for a week, a month to do that training. You can actually do it in-house. I'm not sure if any of you know, but there are employer providers where employers have got their own in-house training teams. It tends to be larger employers, so it is more difficult because there's a lot of SMEs in the foundry industry that can't do that. But some of the larger employers will have their own in-house apprenticeship programme, and they will design it, they will run it, they will have their own teaching staff, and then it will go out to endpoint assessment at the end. And then we don't have that for the foundry standard. So it's probably not the answer at the moment, but the only answer that I am advising people to do is we will continue to knock doors down about the foundry apprenticeship. advice I gave to the East Anglia group and to a few other families is, for you to get more impact with the local college, the college has got to see that there is a need for that. And that's not just 10 apprentices 1 year. They need to see that there is a pipeline and that there's numbers. Because it's such a niche standard, it's a very costly standard for a provider to put on, and because they need to pay for that expertise from foundry people to come and deliver it. So if they are going to do it, they need to see that there are numbers and there's commitment from the industry. So I advise, for example, the Stanley group to all get together, and if they work in a college of any group, go to a college as a collective and say, right, we are a group of 10 employers and we have X amount of people that we want to put on this apprenticeship programme, and this is our pipeline. That's the only way at the moment you will get people to explore the foundry one. So there isn't an easy answer for that one. We're still very much in limbo. Martin Dewey is chasing that, and through the Education and Training Committee, we are very much knocking on the door of that. But there are other apprenticeships that people can do for the foundry industry. So there's an NDT standard, there's a tool making standard that's being reviewed currently that would specifically be for die casting. There are other apprenticeship standards that can be utilised in place of the foundry one. The foundry one is a bit more of an all-rounder. It goes through, so the new pathways will be pattern making, methods development, and then more of a generic casting type role. So it'll cover a raft of roles. But as part of the career pathway programme that I was talking about earlier in London Schools Provision, one of the things we're going to do is look at outlining what apprenticeships actually match into the foundry industry, because it's quite difficult if you don't have somebody who understands apprenticeships. You're going to go on that Ofwat website and look at it and be absolutely scared to death when you type in engineering, because you'll have hundreds of apprenticeship standards pop up, and you've got to sit there and look at what each one entails and how much is the standard and what are the entry requirements. So that is something we're going to look at doing. We will continue to support CMF, and we will continue through the Education and Training Committee to hopefully get that standard delivered. But at the moment, you've literally got Sheffield College, and they can't deliver it nationally at the moment. But having said that, I've got a meeting with them tomorrow. So it might change. We'll see what to speak to them tomorrow about but their model is very different. So they don't do the block release where everybody comes out for a week and month. They come out and do the diploma, the EAL engineering diploma with the casting specific units. It's all theory based, and the majority of their training is actually doing house developers. So it takes a little bit of pressure off the engineers. But yeah, it's not the best, but we're trying to find a silver lining. And okay, if we don't have that standard, then what are we going to do? So hopefully we'll have more of an update on that, but we'll keep knocking the door down on that one, and hopefully have some questions. Any other questions? No? Thank you for having me.
I'd just like to say thank you to Amy for coming and presenting to us this evening. I'd also like to thank Alnicast for sponsoring this evening's event. I think it's been really interesting to see what's going on in our industry, the difficulties we're having, and how we're generally overcoming them slowly but surely on a positive note. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.